What was that about our audio?
Our audio's live now.
Oh, wait a minute.
There we go.
Hey, everybody. Oh, I love that. Seamless.
It's the high-tech graphics that
It's a seamless transition. Hey, folks. Welcome to the 4040 Man. This is the baseball podcast that features a guy who knows a heck of a lot about the sport and, well, someone else. I am that someone else. My name is David Bronfman. I am your interim co-host.
And my name is Greg Howard, and I am the guy on the other side here. So.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So how are our Jays doing?
Well, you know what? The betting line is open for them to win the World Series next year. It's officially done.
Place your bets now.
It's officially done. We had a tough season, but I think we can find someone who can sum this up for us and sort of give us the little wrap of our season. Let's go.
Would we have to go all the way across the earth to find us someone that could actually give us a summary of what happened this year?
And find someone who looks like he was in some kind of a the rest of the scene looked like Vancouver, but the stuff that he managed to focus on looked like Chinese trailer trash.
I wonder who this could possibly be.
Pink buckets and stuff. So we're going to go say hi to Jeff.
Well, it's been one hell of a year, hasn't it? I haven't been around. Dave's taking my job. That's cool because, he's good at what he does. And I'm glad he's been learning something about baseball because there's been a lot to learn this year, hasn't there? We've learned what a rebuild is. We've learned what it is to purge, not in an anarchy kind of way, but baseball sell-off kind of way. We've learned what it's like to have super prospects, which we haven't had in a long time. We've learned what it's like to have rookies in the rotation, a la Halliday, Carpenter, and Escobar. Baraki, Sean Reed Foley, and Thomas Pannone look pretty good. We know it has to have a journeyman pitcher, Sam Cabiglio. That's how it's pronounced. He's been pretty good. What else can I say? We learned what it is to have lots of rookies like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We've learned what it's to have journeyman guys like Gervis Solarde. We've learned what that Justin Smoke is kind of our MVP. He's not that good. We've also learned that this year pitching seems to be dominating hitting in general in baseball. So if we can get a couple of kids coming up, it's looking good for the future. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm wearing the black hat. It's in mourning at the end of the season, then the end of the chase tie here. And the future looks pretty good. And I've enjoyed it as much as I can over here in the, I know I'm backyard right now because I got a week off. I think I got holidays here, but I got to miss the baseball. I'm looking forward to it next year. New manager. Let's see, John McDonald, maybe. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Some people are saying Sean Casey, but it better be someone progressive, someone who's young. It's something we've never really done. Bobby Cox is the youngest manager we ever had here. He was 40 when he got hired. So hopefully we can get somebody around, a little younger than that to maybe take over the reins and see these kids do really well. So from way over here beyond the wall, I hope you guys enjoy the season. The off season should be really fun. We'll talk about it at some point. But as it stands now, that's it for me. Back to you, goofball.
Oh man.
I figured we'd let him sit for a bit there. There was the odd little tech burp.
Yeah.
But that last little clip of him just staring blankly is straight up.
Made it all worth it.
Yeah.
Along with all the regular burps that we have.
Yeah.
Along here, we have a bunch of tech burps going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Jays finish 73-89.
Yes.
Putting us on pace for an even decade. But the 2010s could be a wash.
Well, that's the funny thing is because we were so good in 15 and 16, and we'd had a couple of just above 500 years at the start of the decade. So we'll see if we can. We need. Well, we've got one more year left essentially. Right. So if we can have a winning season on this one.
It's close, man. It's really close. We're actually we so far we've got a winning decade.
Yeah.
We're sitting at like 50.5% wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
The funny thing is actually I didn't even look into that number. That's actually pretty good. That's a club. Lifetime managers, the 14 that we've had, only 4 of them have a losing record. Some of them are really bad.
Yeah,
because that's like when
they made up for it.
They made for it. That's when we were an expansion franchise.
Yeah.
And for the first couple of years, we were terrible, quite terrible. But so I mean, I figure we are going to be calling this the wild card episode.
Yeah.
Because what is going on tonight?
That is the wild card.
Yes, it is.
All right. So welcome to the wild card episode. So how does it feel? How does it feel to be the Dodgers or the Brewers today?
I thought that was awesome. The fact that you had the American League was pretty much wrapped up. Everyone sort of knew what was going on like about a week or two ago. And you actually had to have 2 play-in games to make to not have to play a wild card game.
Yeah.
And usually, like, it's happened once in a while where there's 2 teams tied and they have to sort of play it out. And sometimes they're tied either for top spot or for that second spot. And then someone at least gets booted out. So at least the teams that lost, which are the Cubs and the Rockies, at least they still get to sort of fight another day.
Yeah.
But you get one shot.
You
get one shot. And they've went through their bullpen. They went through their starters. So now you had to use your starter yesterday to get you that win, and then now you've got to use your starter again today. Another starter again today. So then if you actually do go through to the next round, you've burned 2 good starters. Then you're on essentially your 3rd starter.
What's the wait time after the wild card?
Well, both wild card play-in games were yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the National League wild card game is now.
Right.
It's right now.
But following today's game, how much rest time do they get?
Tomorrow they'll have the American League wild card.
Yeah.
So at least they'll get like a day off because they'll have Oakland versus New York, and then start on the 4th.
That's still not enough time to rest.
No.
Like one of the good pitchers.
Like that's the trick, right? Like you've got to use your ace for a 1 game thing. There's no point resting them, right? So So there and the first series is best of 5. So you have to go 3, 4, and 5 starters. So unless you really chop down and go, like the good thing about Chicago is Chicago's actually got an even keel of starters. Colorado, it's a little shakier, but yeah, that's a tough draw, man. Like it's.
Who are we rooting for then?
I mean, I would love to see Oakland go through.
Yeah. Just because of the Yankees, or
just because it's Oakland. I kind of feel bad for Oakland, also because it's the Yankees, but also it's the lowest payroll. And yet again, this is
recurring
a Moneyball team, right? Like they're literally building from runs, WAR, which I hate, and trying to make a team out of. They've got cash. They don't have as much cash as I think, but it's whatever. They've somehow done it, And they were miles behind at the halfway point of the season. They caught up. Same with Colorado. Colorado was quite a way behind as well. So
are you rooting for them?
I would love to see Colorado go through. I think Chicago's going to take them. I think Oakland can beat the Yankees. I would love to see a Milwaukee-Houston final. It's probably going to be Boston.
Yeah.
But I think Milwaukee's got it for the National League. But I would love to see Milwaukee-Houston. Why? Because it's two sort of smaller teams. Houston's won it last year. They're the returning champs. But Milwaukee, last time they were in the World Series, was 83.
So
with like Paul Molitor as a rookie, Robin Yount. Yeah.
So they're due.
And our buddy Jess Spotty. He's a Milwaukeean.
Jeff Spotty?
Jess. Remember manager Jess?
Oh,
Jess
that guy.
Spotty.
Oh, Jeff. Yeah. Oh, him.
Jess.
I thought you were talking about a baseball player.
No, he's from Milwaukee.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, folks, it's always great when Greg Howard mentions someone that you don't know, or references a television show that you never saw. But it wouldn't be the 40-40 man without that.
Yeah. So that your pointless references.
Yeah. Speaking of pointless references, Adam Lind played 0 games in the major leagues this year.
Wow.
So does that mean that his career is over?
Not necessarily, but I mean, it's not a good sign. Yeah. Like, he played 0 games in the major leagues being on a roster.
Right.
So he didn't even get it. He could have played 0 games being injured, which is our pal Troy Tulowitzki.
Yeah.
That is a reference that people should get. I mean, I know it's been 2 years since you've seen him.
The $20 million man.
Yeah, seen him in Blue Jay Blue. But yeah, no, I think he might be done. Like, he was never like a superstar. He was a solid hitter. Couldn't hit a left-hander. But some guys actually realize it sort of early. Some guys can make a great living going over to the Asian League, like playing in Korea or something.
But he's had a good career, right? I mean, as far as I've heard,
he should have. If he was smart enough, like, he's set for life. Never needs to do anything. Like,
I hear he owns a few Waffle Houses throughout the United States.
Actually, or is this a Dave? That would be awesome.
I don't know, but if you check Wikipedia in the next 10 seconds, he does.
That's kind of like what happened with the Kavanaugh trial yesterday.
Oh,
every time he'd mention something, Wikipedia changed for like boofing. Yes. I don't think we have that pull on Wikipedia to change it. But no, I liked the guy. He was a fun J to have around for a while. He was in Milwaukee for a little bit, in Seattle, and I'm trying to remember where I think he ended up in Seattle. Like, that's where he is right now. But yeah, no, he's probably done.
Okay.
He's probably done.
And speaking of maybe possibly done, although he's still got a contract to play out, I didn't see it. How did Russell Martin do as a manager?
I mean, you literally had to go in and just sort of hand in the card. Tampa was done. The Jays were done. That was just go out and let the kids play.
Yeah.
People hit. We lost the last game, which wasn't a real surprise because we always lose when we go down to Tampa. But I mean, catchers make great managers. And like, look at
Ernie Whitt.
I mean, Gibbons,
I knew something.
Gibbons was a catcher.
He was.
Yeah, Gibbons was a catcher.
He looks like a catcher.
Yeah, like short, stocky kind of.
And those enormous chewing muscles on the side of his head.
Because the catcher is involved in every aspect of the game, right? Yeah. Every time, every pitch. The catchers. So catchers actually make great managers. Mike Scioscia, another one. He's a manager for was the manager for the Angels at this point in time. He's done it for 19 years. He's probably not going back to Los Angeles. I mean, that could lead us into who would be the Jays' next manager.
And I want to just lead off with, could you take Russell Martin's $20 million and
transfer it
and make him into a manager?
You totally could.
You can?
You totally could.
Does that go off the payroll?
It goes off the payroll because he's no longer a player. Like, they would have to have an option to out the because they would have to buy out the clause. So that $10 million would either, depending on what his contract states, and I don't remember if it has a guaranteed for the final year or an option on it. But
But that would be a stupid idea, right? That's a Dave idea.
Hey, well, here's the thing, right? Like they've got 2 first-time managers in the American League East already, and both those teams got over 100 wins.
Steve Kerr in the NBA did pretty good.
But I mean, Aaron Boone, first-time manager. Alex Cora, first-time manager, and young dudes. So why not? Why not? Because I mean, it's not like this year Russell Martin hasn't really played the field. he's played every position and managed. Yeah. So pitched, caught, outfield, shortstop, a little bit of first,
third base, a
little bit of second, a little bit of third.
Yeah.
Now manage.
Pretty much did. Yeah.
Did everything.
Yeah. He just has to, dispense the Gatorade
and be a bat boy for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he picked up a loose bat that was errant on the ground.
Put on the Blue Jay costume.
Yeah. I think the real deal is first base coach. Okay, stop. All right, whoa. Okay, you're on first. Just hold up. Yeah.
So that's the tricky one. Who do you think is up for the job aside from my boy Russell Martin?
Russell is. I think he's actually probably a really, really dark horse candidate. Like the big guys that their names have probably been thrown around, and you have to factor in, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that, they're Cleveland. But I mean, when Alex Anthopoulos brought Gibby back, because he was a Gibby guy. Like, why not play the guys that you know? So I mean, Shapiro and Atkins, sort of big fans of Eric Wedge, and Eric Wedge is already in the Jays organization right now. He used to manage the Cleveland Indians for a bit, managed the Mariners, has 10 years experience as a major league manager. He's in development right now. What they do is develop all that talent into a winning team. So who better than someone who's already within the franchise, who's already, his job is an advisor for the player development. So he knows all the talent that we have in every aspect of our farm system, and he's a guy that they like. Yeah. Another one is that's a big name up there is. And this one's a little bit further down the thing, but Sandy Alomar Jr.
What? Really?
Yeah, Robbie's brother. Sandy managed for a little bit. He's a first base coach in Cleveland right now. And a thing to think of is he's also fluent in Spanish. And we've got a lot of Dominican, guys like Venezuelan. So why not have a guy that can speak both English and Spanish? He's in the Cleveland organization right now, so obviously that is a tie-in with them. But I mean, he's Robbie's brother, so people would be, cool with him. Neat. Yeah. DeMarlo Hale, who's the bench coach for the Jays. You gotta look at that guy. But you also have to look at John Schneider. No, we're not talking Bo Duke. We are talking the manager of the Fisher Cats, New Hampshire. Oh, which is our AA franchise, and they're a killer right now. So he's a young dude, and one of the things people are saying is like the young guys are starting to get into this now because it's a sort of a different mentality.
It's a modern game.
It's a modern game. Yeah, and then he's only 38, so give him a shot at the big club.
Greg, what have we done with our lives?
I don't know. But then we got to throw in guys like Stubby Clapp. The one thing we did do is not get named Stubby. So I'm fine with that. But Stubby Clapp is a Canadian. He's a AAA manager for the Memphis Redbirds, and they're back-to-back Pacific Coast champions. And you put that guy in, that's an instant fan. Fans are going to be happy. Johnny McDonald.
Mm-hmm. John A. McDonald.
And John E. McDonald. John McDonald.
Not former prime minister.
No, not former prime minister. No.
Okay.
Johnny Mack, as he was known here, played 7 seasons in Toronto. Huge fan favorite because he was a lunchbox guy. Like he played every position. He was another utility guy, and his name has actually been thrown around. But then you've also got other guys. Like some guys that have vacated positions so far this year. Like I'm pretty sure Buck Showalter is going to get fired from Baltimore because Baltimore is horrific. But
why would we want him then?
He would never come here. That's okay. I mean, you never know, but it's kind of like us hiring John Farrell back. No, that's not going to happen. Right. But because Baltimore and Toronto do not get along. But even you got to throw in Mike Socha, you got to throw in Joe Girardi, the former Yankees manager, Mike Matheny. There's a few, but I think it's going to come down to it's either going to come down to Sandy Alomar. The money on favorite is Eric Wedge. or give it to John Schneider.
Wow, so that's a lot of people that you just mentioned there.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm looking at
Like solid 10.
So we've pretty much So we've got it pretty much narrowed down to Sandy Alomar Jr., Eric Wedge, John Schneider, Stubby Clapp, Johnny Mack, Mr. Peanut, and Bowser from Shanana.
As only if he wears the cutoff sleeveless and does one of these periodically, as he's arguing with the ump.
Fan favorite Bowser from Shanana.
Yeah. Who apparently wasn't part of the original Shanana, was only on the TV show.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that.
Totally. Yeah.
Rowdy Tejas, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Rowdy Tejas.
What did we say? What did he say? Ryan. Yeah, Ryan really. But
Rowdy
Tejas.
Rowdy Tejas finished his season with a 314 batting average and an OPS of 943.
Yeah,
which I think is like, I don't know
really
what it. I figure they stop at 1.
No, you can go.
What is?
No, you can go. You can go over 1.
You can go more than 1.
You can go 1.
Is more than 1 good, or do you?
1.2 is phenomenal.
Once you pass 1, do you turn into a singularity, or?
No. There's a few guys, but I mean, if you hover around the 1,000,
yeah,
that's great. That would be the opposite of the Mendoza line. There isn't a name for it, but we should call it something. But yeah, if you hover around that aspect, like if you're in the high 9s, like in the 9s and the 1000s, then yeah, that's phenomenal. Because what that means is you're on, like, the amount of times you get on base, you don't just get on base, to like a single or something like that, but you get on, within a good scoring position. So slugging is essentially total bases acquired per season, per at bat, or whatever. So, you don't just get on first and then get out, or get a walk and get out. No, you hit doubles, you hit triples, you hit home runs. And then that plus the amount of times you just get on base by taking a walk, or, getting just a little blooper hit. It's a good thing, because you're giving your team an opportunity to score. And that's the basis of the offensive side of baseball.
Well, he's not as good as Deck McGuire, who finished... He finished the season with a batting average of 1,000. 1,000.
It's it's Rick, because we had a pitcher named Deck. We had a pitcher named Deck. This is Rick McGuire. This is a catcher that we just brought up. His first at bat was a home run. Yeah. So good job. First major league at bat was a home run, and that came, in a cause when it wasn't even needed. But still, it's exciting. There's the Jays that, like, as I was saying kind of earlier, they were in an enviable / unenviable position because Boston and New York were running away with that division. There was nothing that they could really do to catch up. So why not bring up all the young talent, give them a taste of the majors, and see what they can do. Yeah. And if you win, cool. If you lose, whatever, you've given them some experience. And a lot of these guys actually succeeded, because now it's a possibility that we could be trading Justin Smoke, who is theoretically our MVP. We could be trading him in the offseason. Right. He's a bargain for people out there. He is the 18th highest paid first baseman in the league, and he's got better numbers than a lot of the other first basemen.
Yeah, no, he's a total steal.
Yeah. Like he's not even making double digits. He's making he could go up to 7 million next year. Wow. And you've got other guys that are raking in the cash. But you've got a 23-year-old kid who can't really run. So why not put him at first? Why not put him at first? Because the guy can smack the hell out of the ball.
No, there's a lot of like cool young guys.
Yeah,
like Dick Urin,
Richard Urena.
Richard
Urena, yeah.
Dick Urin. He got a batting average of 293.
Yeah,
and he was at bat more than Rowdy.
Yeah, and I mean, Lourdes Gurriel did very well. He had an ankle injury for a bit, which sidelined him for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. But he was on fire for a while. He had an 11 or 12 game hitting streak at one point in time too. I mean, you've got the pitchers that came up, as he was saying. There's Thomas Pannone, Ryan Baracchi, and Sam Gaviglio.
Gaviglio.
Okay. Gaviglio. So I mean, we're probably going to be I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Smoke in the offseason. They're probably going to get rid of Marco Estrada, which sucks because I like Marco, but he was sort of on the way down.
Yeah.
The fans gave him a nice little ovation when he left in his last start at home.
Nice.
That's the Jays fans that do. They're pretty knowledgeable. They'll know if it's a possibility of the last time seeing someone. They'll give him a little round of applause. They did that for Gibby as well.
Yeah. I saw that.
Kind of sad.
Gibby, gave the salute.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty awesome. So maybe we should let's move it along a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if we could go into my weekly segment.
Yes, of course.
And who knows, quite possibly my final.
Possibly. Segment. So everyone started an ovation at this point in time right now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like we may be coming back.
Yeah.
This isn't our last episode.
If it knows, we can do one more, two more.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So you have to suffer through with us for just a little bit more. So as you may know by now, Greg gives me a subject and every week, and I learned about that subject.
I just saw that.
Oh, I just can't handle it. Greg gives me a subject. I learn about the subject. I report about the subject. Greg tells me what I got wrong about the subject. This week, I picked the subject. It just happened upon me, and it's a little something that we like to call "What Did Dave Learn This Week?"
What did Dave learn this week?
Oh, hi there. Glad you could make it. Welcome to this week's episode of What Did Dave Learn This Week? And I came across it because I was looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who I got to tell you, for this entire season, I've been confusing with words here, and but it turns out he is someone else, and it came to me that I'm reading that he could become a large test case across Major League Baseball for next year because he may file a grievance with the Blue Jays for being held back in the minor leagues. And so you have this question that's going to happen next year is, are they going to start him in Buffalo, or are they going to bring him, or are they going to leave him in, or are they going to bring him right into the majors from day one?
Yeah.
And this, of course, goes into service time. And service time is the subject of What Did Dave Learn This Week? So here's a little stuff that we got to talk about, because there is a difference between starting Buddy in Buffalo at the beginning of the season, and but I want to talk to you. Oh, okay.
I was going to say, look at your camera.
Right.
I'm listening.
All right,
I'm listening.
Anyhow, there's a difference between starting the man in Buffalo and then or starting him up in the Jays. And so let's just go through a little bit of what service time is for you folks who probably already know. As you may know, free agency is granted after 6 full years of Major League Baseball, where by the way, 1 year in Major League Baseball is 172 days being on a roster. Being on the roster, injured, playing, whatever, you can be sitting, you can having a sandwich. It's 172 days, and that's a year. But seasons are now 187 days. So there's a difference between the 187 and the 172, like between a season and what an actual service time or playing season is for a baseball player. What that means, as again, you're probably aware of, you can keep a player in the minors for only 16 days, then bring him up, and you have his rights now for a whole other year.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't completed a full year in terms of service days, which I said is 6. The most recent case of this happening is obviously in All-Star Rookie of the Year, Chris Bryant, who he just killed it in spring training and was rewarded with a trip to the minors right after that for the bare minimum. They kept him there for what was then 12 days. The season has gotten longer since his case. And so he filed a grievance with the Cubs for doing that to him. And that grievance, by the way, is still open and unresolved. So how did we get here? How did we get to the point where players are locked into the scenario of being held captive for years? Well, Greg Howard, I'm glad you asked. In the beginning days of baseball, a team could hold a player for as long as they wanted. There was something called the reserve clause, which stated that after a season, a team could reserve a player's services for the next season in perpetuity. There's a chance that you could stay on a team for your entire career and you had no say whether or not you could leave. And owners could also pay players whatever they wanted as long as it was the league minimum. This basically was what led to the Black Sox scandal, because the Sox were being hugely underpaid. So bribing them worked out pretty damn well. I am told that Happy Felsch sold out the Sox for store credit at Woolworths. By the way, folks, if you're hearing any sort of crying in the background, do not worry. It's our medical correspondent, Penny, who may have to go to the bathroom. I'm not sure. Now, because of a 1922 Supreme Court decision, baseball was exempt from federal antitrust laws, as it was decided that baseball was not a form of interstate commerce. This is despite the fact that all other major league sports were susceptible to those laws. Now, this is important because of things that I will say later. In the 60s, the players, with the assistance of a guy named Marvin Miller, or do you know who Marvin Miller is?
No.
So this fella helped the players finally organize into a federally recognized union. As a result, the first CBA is signed, accomplishing many things, including raising the minimum salary from $6,000 to $10,000. That's right, folks. It has only been a few decades since then, and the minimum salary was $10,000 at the time. Then along comes Curt Flood.
And there's an Amy here.
Curt Flood played for the Cardinals. Pretty much loved by the fans there. He was traded in 1969, but he refused to report due to racism for the fans in Philadelphia, and he declared himself a free agent, something that had not happened before. He sued Major League Baseball when they refused to play along. They didn't want to make him a free agent, of course. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, where Curt lost, but the court did finally declare that baseball was, in fact, interstate commerce like every other single major league sport going on at the time. So this leads us to 1975, where Miller, this is going to get great. This is going to get great. Because our medical correspondent has found the pig toy.
A pig toy.
Okay. So, all right. So in 75, Miller, he's the guy who organized players into unions. There's the pig toy. Okay. He took on the reserve clause. He argued that the specific language of the clause could be read to mean that a team could only reserve a player once and then never again. And he convinced the independent arbitrator that this was the case and the players were free. Now, that's a note to all your lawyers out there. Proofread your work. This episode brought to you by bacon.
Pigs.
Pigs eat bacon.
Pigs in a blanket.
Oh boy. Okay. Anyhow, so because of this decision, so what happens? So the reserve clause is completely shut down. Mm-hmm. So now owners can't reserve a player for the year after they played. What this means is that now every player would become a free agent at the end of the season. Yes, every single player at the end of every single season, yeah. Which I think would have been awesome. It would have been just a fantastic thing to see these people like switch from team to team.
It's kind of like fantasy baseball and fantasy football. Every year you get to
and we were that close to it happening. But Miller, he happened to realize that this would not actually be very good for players. It would lead to them probably receiving less money because supply would vastly outstrip demand. So he got ownership to agree to limit the flow of free agents by adding in this 6-year service time thing. It was his little bit of genius. It was a huge win for the players because what Miller saw, the owners could not see. The consequences of this idea was that salaries skyrocketed because of demand for star talent. Now, and at this point, you go fast forward about 15 years, owners are now super pissed, and this is how we get to multiple work stoppages in the 80s and 90s. At some point, Commissioner of Baseball Uberroth colludes with owners to only offer short-term contracts or no contracts at all, basically working as a group together, actively improving their own teams for the sake of money. Against actively improving their own teams for the sake of money. Miller found out about this and he takes MLB to court. This guy loves going to court. The court found that MLB was basically 1 billion times worse than the Black Sox were back in the day, as these folks were ostensibly fixing pennant races through their own actions. Miller wound up winning millions of dollars in reparations for the players because of this. This leads the owners to being further pissed off and ousting the commissioner, and you get then the installment of Bud Selig, an owner as the commissioner of baseball. But it was in the end, it was Miller, enemy of the owners, whose action brought up team values from mere millions to billions. So the owners have a lot to thank for this guy, but he will never be in the Baseball Hall of Fame because they hated him. So now we have the 6-year service time. Now we're up to 6 years service time. Initially went for the players, which has now been manipulated to hobble young up-and-comers. It is absolutely going to be the cause for a strike in 2021 when the current CBA is up. Players can still make up for lost time in arbitration, but ownership, again, is failing to see the big picture, with attendance plummeting for reasons like the service time rule. Because for the Jays, like for us, they would have sold way more tickets to see Vladdy in action, and for sure people would be watching more games on TV. It is guaranteed. How do we fix it?
Is this a question?
I have an answer.
Go ahead. I didn't know this was a rhetorical question.
It's a rhetorical question. How do we fix it? Greg may have an idea. An idea that I found is that is eliminate service time and instead make free agency age-based.
Well,
so
there's a partial sort of free agency thing, which is called the 5 and 10 rule.
Yeah.
Yes. If you've been on a team for 5 years, you played in the league for 10 years, then you sort of you have a chance to dictate, because then that means that you're at least a competent enough player to remain 10 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because they're out of all the sports, there's baseball has had the most work stoppages in the last little while.
Yeah.
Like massive ones, like killed the World Series in 94. They've had stoppages in 81. Their initial installation of a commissioner was to fix corruption within the sport, because the first commissioner they came up with was right after the Black Sox scandal, which was a Supreme Court judge, Tennessee Mountain State,
Tennessee Mountain
State, and they were supposed to be above reproach. And as you've seen, the first couple were, and then the rest weren't. But to fix it, eliminate the service time. You should be able to be a free agent once you hit 28 or 30 or whatever, because I think that's giving you enough time in the league to sort of learn your stripes and be able to go somewhere else, because a lot of guys retire, like they're out of baseball by 35.
And then you can bring people up. You can bring people up whenever you want.
Yeah.
You want to sell tickets?
Totally.
Bring this person up. It's not going to count against it.
No.
And meanwhile, we had to suffer through like a horrifying end of season with really nothing to, with a few cool things to watch, but boy, it sure would have been great, right?
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. That is pretty much what Dave learned this week. If you've been saving up for that stadium tour in the 2022 baseball season, you may want to reconsider. There will be a work stoppage. By the way, if you want to think of a better way to spend that money, you can support the 4040 Man. We're on Patreon.
Yeah.
Are we on Patreon?
No, not yet.
Damn it.
We will
Okay.
be, yeah.
All right.
But see it's not a palindrome, but just a double number. It's 2020, 4040. You had that stadium tour planned in 2020, then screw it, 4040.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, you said if you want to support, if you want to use that money better,
double it up.
Double it up. But if you look at a lot of the Jays Albatross contracts, they are done in 2020.
Yeah.
In sort of preparation for
the CBA.
For that, right?
All right, let's move it along. We got a fun one coming up.
So this this actually, you know what? I think I want to bring up what happened this day in baseball.
Yeah, go for it.
Because it's actually a pretty cool one.
Okay.
Let's find it here. Hold on a second. Yep. Yep. And all right. So October 2nd, today in baseball history. couple of cool things actually happened. 1972, a guy named Bill Stoneman, who was a pitcher for the Expos at the time, was pitching and no-hit the Mets. Shocking, it was the Mets. No-hit the Mets 7-0 at Jerry Park in Montreal. And that was the first time that a professional no-hitter had been thrown in Canada. Yeah. He actually threw one for the Expos in 1969 in his 5th Major League start. But that was in Philadelphia. So 72, first on October 2nd, the first ever no-hitter thrown.
One of the very few pitchers to throw two more than one.
Yeah. 1991, Jays clinched the AL East title against the then California Angels, which are now like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, with a 6-5 win at Skydome. Hence Skydome, in front of 50,324 fans. And with that, that was the first time in a sports franchise had drawn over 4 million fans in one season. So that's the first sports franchise in the world.
Was us
to draw 4 million fans in one season. 2001, Sammy Sosa hits his 60th home run, becoming the first player to hit 60 in 3 seasons, all clean. All clean.
Yeah.
No, and and in 2012, then a Met at the time, but R.A. Dickey strikes out 8 Miami Marlins on this day in October 2nd in 2012 to take over first place for strikeouts. Now, the reason why this is actually kind of cool because he had 230 strikeouts for the season, and he was first in the National League, and that was his Cy Young award-winning year. He'd written a book earlier in that year called Wherever I Wind Up, and it was published in March of 2012. And one of the paragraphs states, "I will never be a Hall of Famer, and I will never lead the league in strikeouts." And he did that year, like right away. So I thought that was kind of cool. Everyone likes R.A. Dickey. Some people are still pissed because we could have got Noah Syndergaard, but to be honest, Noah Syndergaard has only actually played 2 full seasons. He's played a lot of.
I really enjoyed R.A. Dickey.
Oh, Dickey's great.
Yeah. Okay, so you said 4 million.
4 million fans.
So
in a season.
I pulled up my calculator here. 82 home games, right?
81.
81. So I mean, it's even. So you would have to sell basically 50,000 seats to every single home game.
Yep. They happened to be good that year too, which is key, and that was also the second full year of being in the Dome. So it was still a novelty.
Was this the first World Series or second?
No, it was actually the year before we got to the first World Series. That was the year. That was when we kind of got clobbered by the A's a few times in a row before we finally got over the hump.
The hump. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I figured R.A. Dickey, big fan favorite. 4 million, something cool, and first ever no hitter in Canada.
This day in baseball history, folks. You heard it here. What was that little thing that you wanted to?
Well, we gave you guys a glossary of baseball terms earlier on this year, and I figured we might as well go for a glossary of baseball terms that are used for something else.
Okay.
Not necessarily PG-13. Maybe some different stuff. So
I'm gonna use the word idiom. Throw it out there.
Yes.
Baseball idioms.
Before, where it was like can of corn, which was a baseball slang for something that's going to be an easy catch, an easy pop fly, and a golden sombrero, which is 4 strikeouts in a row,
and some kind of taco. I remember that.
Taco. But apparently, a golden sombrero can also be when someone pees in someone's hat.
I have a feeling where this segment is going.
Yes, it is going to go blue.
Okay,
I'm going to give you something.
Hit me.
Okay, cool. All right. So, I mean, everyone knows the old baseball idiom for sex. So, first base. What is first base? First base is just kissing.
First base is kissing.
Okay, second base.
That's under the shirt and over the bra.
Yeah, hands-on stuff.
Okay.
Third base.
Under the bra.
No, with a mouth on some form of something.
Mouth on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Home run, obviously. Sex.
Getting caught by the father.
Getting caught by the father. Yeah, no, that's thrown out at home. I guess.
Okay.
Now there's an added part to this. Whatever happens within that base path, if you count the amount of people that were involved with it other than yourself, say it's like 2 and plus 1, that would be third base with 2 RBIs. 2 RBIs. Okay, a strikeout. That's pretty easy.
Striking out.
Striking out. Yeah, just ask someone out. They say
See,
no.
it's so commonly known that you could just say that. Striking out. Striking out or striking out.
Okay. Broken bat.
What's that?
Someone with an STD.
Oh, I figured it's if you get sat on in the wrong way.
Well, there's a thing with pine tar. I'll explain that one later. That's one of the ones we can't do. A bleeder up the middle.
Can I go home now? Oh, I am home. What's that, Greg?
It's pretty much what you think. Yeah.
Okay.
An upper decker.
That's when you do it in the top of a toilet.
You take a shit in the top of the toilet. Yes. An inside the park home run.
That's wearing a condom and having sex with a condom.
No, that's taking a shit in a urinal.
Oh.
And this one is actually just kind of funny. A pop fly.
What's that?
You just get a random boner. There's another one which is runners in the scoring position, and that's when you're in between friend and love. You're stuck in that zone. You're not even in the friend zone. You're in between like and love.
Is that close to being in a pickle?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
In a pickle. So there's your other baseball terminology.
I got a couple others that I found. I have ones that. Oh, I shouldn't have brought the pig out.
I feel like a morning radio host. It's Jimmy and the Wheeze.
Sorry, all you folks that are wearing headphones right now. Yeah. So there are other baseball terms that I saw that could mean something, and I don't know what they mean. High and tight.
Smoke a lot of weed, wearing a very tight shoes.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Come inside. It's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Again, no need for explanation. And I also feel that we don't really have to discuss the four-bagger. There's also a very famous one, which you have. First of all, our medical correspondent, Penny, who has found the squeaky toy. You also have a very famous old one from the poem Casey at the Bat. Okay. Which has where the much despised Blake tore the cover off the ball.
Ooh, is that jerking off?
I'm gonna say that's furious masturbating. These ones are attributed to David Letterman. I have no affiliation with the man or Worldwide Pants.
Well, your name is Dave, and
yeah. So you've got charging the mound, jerking one into the seats, and visiting Busch Stadium. I have one final thing. You talked about the bases. I have my own private bases system. This is David Bronfman's historically accurate bases system. All right. First base is C message that says read at 6:30 p.m. Second base, sleep on top of phone in case it vibrates. Third base, furiously check relationship status on Facebook. And home run, withdraw from society, gain 40 pounds. We did it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I figure we pay a little bill here for a second.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right.
Let's go for it.
So as our medical correspondent is going off to the outside, our trivia question today is, on my way to St. Ives, I saw a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 7 kittens. Kittens, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives? I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance the other day.
Are we going to St. Ives?
How many are going to St. Ives? So if you want to chime in with your answer.
You can just rent Die Hard with a Vengeance and tell us how many sacks and kittens and cats there were. Yep. Sounds good. And you too could possibly win, I don't know, something.
Some Henderson swag.
Oh, great stuff from Henderson. So, yeah, and thanks to them for helping us sponsor this podcast. Speaking of, I think we put in some decent minutes here.
I'm fine with
that. So let's call it a night. Henderson Brewery, thanks a lot. They make beer. We drink beer. And as well, if you feel like doing this sort of thing with the podcasting and broadcasting, there's a little thing called Stage10.tv, a web-based platform that allows you to do what it is that we're doing, except probably better. Yeah, so that's pretty much all she wrote. Looking forward to a decent playoffs. And we are not done yet. The Jays might be, but the 40-40 men have survived. So until next week, I'm your interim co-host, David Bronfman.
My name is Greg.
And until then, stay safe. I was in Fundiver, and this thing is by Greg Bronfman and David. Wait a minute, produced by Greg Howard. And it's sponsored by Henderson Brewing. Henderson Brewing. Oh, Henderson. There's rum and blue.